Show us the book. We got to see the book. I'm going to put the link up afterwards.
So it's called
Lions
Lions
Do Not Bow.
It has become a bestseller last week on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca. It was the #1 for a number of weeks. It has been released today, and I find this fascinating that it's Remembrance Day, it's the Veterans Day, and the book is being released because the whole book is all about freedom. It's about standing, not bowing. When I was in Africa, and that's where the title comes from. And by the way, this picture is an actual arrest by anti-terrorists. I was arrested in the rain for kicking them out. As you remember, I was arrested with my brother David.
Is that one on the tarmac or was that one on the highway?
That was on the highway. Well, I was arrested on the highway many times. I was arrested 16 times, detained many times. This one arrest was after I kicked them out. They waited. They brought anti-terrorists. They stopped me in the middle of the highway, and I was arrested with my brother David. We spent 3 days and 2 nights on concrete, completely illegal. And as you remember, we were charged with nonsense charges, but the judge, Adam Germain, commanded us to repeat government narrative, the compelled speech, which has never been done in Canadian history. He ordered us to repeat the CNN, CBC lies about this whole lie. And he commanded us. He says, if you don't say it, you will be arrested for the contempt of court order. Just Soviet style, North Korea, China style of dealing with political dissidents. And of course, as you know, when I was sent to prison, stripped naked, interrogated for hours, I was arrested by every force in the land, anti-terrorist, SWAT team with cameras, undercover police, Calgary police uniform. They blocked the whole street in front of my house. I was arrested by detectives, interrogated, stripped naked, sent to solitary confinement, metal cages. They kept me in metal cages. I still, to this day, I've done hundreds of interviews. I wrote a book about this ordeal. And when I'm sharing this with you, I still cannot believe that in Canada, yes, in Poland, that was normal. In Russia, that's normal. In China, that's normal. But Canada?
Back it all the way up to the beginning. Alberta Health Services the video that went viral. Once it gets on Fox News, you know that it's gotten international attention. And I made the joke at the time is, you said come back with a warrant. They were going to come back with a warrant, and they did come back with a warrant. The first time you were arrested for the COVID stuff, was it in relation to the church service or was it in relation to something else?
No, that was in relation to exactly me kicking them out. So what they did, they had off-camera illegal meeting with the judge without. It's called ex parte.
Ex parte, without you being notified or being present or your attorneys. And typically the reason they do it is urgency, flight risk, destruction of evidence. They had to do it in your case. Just to explain what ex parte means. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, which is kind of completely ridiculous because I'm not hiding. I have never been hiding. I'm very easy to find. I'm feeding people 3 times a week. I have services in a church 3 times a week. So 6 times a week, they know exactly where I am. They know where I live. I have never been hiding, but they did it for the purpose so our lawyers would not be able to fight this because it was ridiculous, it was illegal. And David Gates, I don't know if he's related to the Bill Gates, the devil of America, but David Gates of Alberta gave them the power to enter our church with whomever they wanted to and anytime they wished. So they brought anti-terrorists and they thought that now surely I'm going to bow. But I told them, get out again. So they showed up again with anti-terrorists. I told them, get out again. And they said, you have to arrest me. So what happened was they came with another judge's order. This man, and all of that is included in a book, the names and how it was done, what happened in the background story of Get Out, what happened in prison every single day, Psych Ward, Max Spot for the most dangerous terrorists, the trials, my speeches, my American tour, all of that is in the book.
One of your anecdotes with me about being in not solitary, but being in a prison with a schizophrenic guy who was a violent guy who had sharp devices where you were not allowed to have a pencil and this guy had pencils and pens. I joked with you that I said they wanted you to get killed in prison.
That's right. Actually, this is not exaggeration. And again, it's included in a book. This book has been already confiscated by the Canadian government 3 times. And now they are stopping my book from entering Canada. That's how scared those people are about what I have written in a book. And of course, it's the truth and nothing but the truth. I'm not shying away from controversy. I'm naming those people, the Crown prosecutors, the judges, the whole 9 yards. But you're right. 5 different inmates already testified to my lawyers that the guards were giving them incentives to murder me in prison. So they wanted to use the hands of the inmates to eliminate me, as they called it. The political fixers that called me, they called it has been decided that you are being eliminated from the board game. I got to remember, they lit my house on fire. Those are not idle threats. They lit my house on fire in the middle of the night with my 3 children sleeping. They unscrewed tire in my pickup truck. They lit our church on fire, vandalized our church for 3 months every single week. They burned down our children's bus outside. I was physically attacked, guns, Antifa in my backyard. I mean, this was a serious, serious attack on my life. When I was kidnapped, I was literally kidnapped by the sheriffs without the knowledge of my family, without the knowledge of my legal team, taken hundreds of miles away to Edmonton. They put me in a max spot. And it's in a book. In a book, I'm including, because I know when I share the story, some people say like, my God, you are exaggerating. It never happened. So I have included documents that I received in prison. And I have all the documents. Those are the pieces of paper I was writing on. Those are the request forms in prison that the prisoners were giving me so I can keep writing, because the government would not give me even paper to write. So this document states that I am considered the most dangerous. So they put me in max spot for the most dangerous terrorists in the country. Freezing conditions, denied a blanket, laughed in my face that at least I have fresh air. I was only allowed to leave my cell, hundreds of cells empty, guarded by 3 guards, only 30 minutes out. And that's where I said my goodbyes to my wife, because I realized I'm not coming out alive of this. They have decided to murder me. They will say I had heart attack. They will say I just died in my sleep, whatever, because it's freezing conditions. And that's where the miracle started to happen, because my wife calls the lawyers send a letter to the judge. The judge was a decent judge, a good judge, and she scared them. And I was taken from MaxPod to a psych ward without the evaluation of the doctors, without even the knowledge of Alberta Health Services. As you know, I'm suing them. I filed one of the biggest lawsuits in the history of this country. It's completely illegal. So when they put me in a cell with a schizophrenic that murdered his brother with a machete, chopped him to pieces, they were hoping that in one of his episodes that he sees, pink elephants, he's going to grab a pen or a pencil and will murder me. So when I walked in, I looked at his little table and he had about 15 or maybe more pencils and pens. And I said, I am apparently considered the most dangerous inmate in the country. I cannot have a pen. And he looks at me and says, hey, and he grabs his pen and says, you can have mine. So I got a pen from a guy that murdered his brother. So I kept writing. And this book, fascinating document, because it was taken by the Canadian government 3 times. 3 times we had to really fight for it. We got it back, and my lawyer smuggled it out of the prison and gave it to my wife. We sent it to the American publishers, and they were brave enough to publish the whole story. Attempted bribery is what those people did to me in prison, outside of prison, a year and a half on house arrest, political fixers, judges, crown prosecutors, the lies of Stephen Johnston, the crown prosecutor, which, by the way, he is featured. I was interviewed by a reporter, and he said to me, are you not afraid to show crown prosecutor Stephen Johnston? Are you not afraid to show his face? Because if you Google Stephen Johnston, try it. If you Google this guy, there is absolutely no face. You cannot find this guy. He's hiding. He even was escorted by guards everywhere he showed up. He waited for the crowds to go. He hides his face. He doesn't want the people to know how he looks like. And I said to the reporter, and I'm going to say it to you as well, listen, it's thanks to him, because he said I am super dangerous. They kept me in solitary confinement, and only in solitary confinement I was able to write the book.
Which one is he? The funny thing is, you put in Steve Johnson, Crown Prosecutor, in images, and the first ones that come up are you. That's Jason Levine down there. I don't know which one is, and that's you again. Do you see him here?
No, I don't see him here.
Maybe this guy? No, that's Stephen Buck. That's weird. It's interesting.
Yeah, but I said to the reporter, listen, if this man wanted really to become part of my life, and he has become a big part of my life for over 3 years, well, he deserves the credit. So I'm not hiding my face. You're not hiding your face.
He's a prosecutor. He's a public servant, not to be in a demeaning way. He's a crown prosecutor. You're entitled to know who he is.
That's right. I think, this is the book. That's why I decided to include all of this, the whole story in the book. It's a big story. It's 500 pages, pictures, 496 pages of write ups, because I wanted people to understand Artur Pawlowski. I wanted people to know why I called those nice officers Nazis, why I called them the Gestapo, why I was so upset about what I have been observing in the past few years. Because you got to remember, I have seen this movie before. I grew up in hell, and hell arrived in Canada.